In our current desire to memorialize World War II veterans as the greatest generation, there is an urgency to complete monuments in their honor. One should ask, as these memorials are constructed, how would the veterans themselves want to be remembered? What kind of memorials would they want? One group of World War II veterans has quietly spoken. During World War II and through the post-war years, approximately 150,000 sailors served in a type of ship called the destroyer escort. DEs, as they were affectionately known, were built in larger numbers than any other surface combat ship in World War II. 563 destroyer escorts in total were built and sailed starting in 1943 and served until the last decommissioning in 1973. Manned by naval reservists in this time of national emergency, these citizen sailors rapidly learned the skills needed to operate their new ships. They took to sea and faced the waves, the storms, the enemy, and their own fears. Out of the experience, they bonded with their ships, each other, and their nation, leaving service at the end of the war with the feeling that when the chips were down, they were there to save their country. These veterans have answered the question. They answered it with their own money and their own sweat. They want to be remembered through a ship, one of their own ships. In 1993, the USS Slater was towed into New York Harbor after a perilous transit across the Atlantic Ocean. The rusty hulk of the ship started its journey from the port of Crete in Greece, and after decades of service in the Hellenic Navy, the USS Slater had returned home. By all that is right in the world, she should have been headed for the scrapyard like so many derelict ships before her. But she was headed for a different fate, as a memorial to our greatest generation who served and fought aboard destroyer escorts like the USS Slater during World War II.
Now hear this, now hear this. This is a test of the 1MC.
The 15,000 members of the Destroyer Escort Sailors Association raised $290,000 to rescue her and bring her home from Greece. She was one of hundreds of ships transferred to Allied navies by order of President Truman in the aftermath of World War II. Now, Slater is the only survivor of this type of ship still afloat in the United States. She represents every DE to every DE sailor. The USS Slater is moored in Albany, New York on the Hudson River, and it is the mission of the museum to educate. The meticulous restoration to preserve and display the ship as a monument to all DE sailors is ongoing, but the real call to duty will be serving as an educational facility. The museum is a repository for DE artifacts. A museum gallery has been created on board where many of these items are on display. The New York State Department of Education has granted the Slater a provisional charter as a designated educational institution. The museum educates the public through comprehensive guided tours of the ship and offers age-appropriate programs for all students, including an overnight program for youth groups. There are college internship programs in conjunction with several area colleges. The historian John Keegan has written that being able to visit a warship from another era that survives into our own age can summarize a technology and society and catch both as in a freeze frame at the peak moment in their development. He continues, on the decks, the visitor will find himself forced to adopt exactly the same posture, the same angle of vision as the seamen gunners who labored at their gun sites. This remarkable experience, he maintains, is unique to historic ships and cannot be so easily accomplished at other military sites. Aboard the Slater, our volunteers have succeeded in doing that. The radars and plotting tables now glow in the Combat Information Center. World War II transmitters spark in Radio Central as antennas carry Morse code to other historic naval ships. All her guns train and elevate, and the bright work is polished and oiled weekly. Meals are again cooked in her galley and served on the mess decks. Decks are swept and swabbed. Weather decks are washed down weekly. Her new paintwork makes her shine like a new penny. Her radar rotates, signal flags flutter, and ventilators hum. And the colors are raised every morning and lowered every evening. Since the beginning, the volunteers, first in Manhattan and now in Albany, have been racing the clock to turn Slater into a first-class historic naval ship. Racing the clock because the DE sailors are rapidly aging. The volunteers are committed to finishing the job while they are still able, and committed to finishing the job while enough of their shipmates are still capable of walking her decks to appreciate their effort. It is no secret that we are losing the DE veteran, and when the last DE sailor is gone, the single largest, most visible and tangible reminder of what they accomplished will be this ship. She is their legacy, and in her they will be remembered. Now, she is every DE. As the DE sailors fade from the scene, younger sailors and civilians cross Slater's brow to take their place on the crew. Men and women who appreciate their heritage and who served on ships like attack carriers, fast frigates, and nuclear submarines. Folks who served in Korea, Vietnam, and the Persian Gulf. And midshipmen from nearby Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute who worked side by side with the old sailors, learning the old skills and passing the history on to our visitors from those who were there. The destroyer escort veterans have put so much of themselves into preserving the USS Slater. They believe that more than any shiny granite and concrete memorial, the ship itself will convey their experience to future generations. Now, they are asking for your help, so all the effort they have put forth will not have been in vain. Younger volunteers are joining aging sailors to care for the ship, but they need your help to finish the job. The Slater volunteers have accomplished so much, but the future of their legacy, the USS Slater, is now in your hands. Your contribution will ensure that they finish the job. From the beginning, this has been a grassroots effort as volunteers continue to be deeply involved with museum projects. In the last 10 years, over $1 million has been contributed, along with a remarkable 250,000 hours of volunteer labor. They have accomplished this with minimal government and corporate support. There are, however, some crucial needs if the ship is to survive as a lasting memorial. The one task that the volunteers cannot accomplish on their own is maintenance of the underwater body. To make sure all the effort that has gone into USS Slater thus far is not lost, the ship must be taken to a shipyard to be dry docked for long-term preservation of the hull. It is estimated that these repairs will cost in excess of $2 million. Accomplishing this goal is vital to the museum's long-term survival. In closing, I want to share an experience that we had on the Slater. One morning, very early, a car drove into our parking lot and two men emerged from the vehicle, one of them very elderly. We were getting ready to raise the flag for the day, but waited to see what they wanted. The elderly gentleman said, "I'm a DE veteran and my son drove all night from Ohio so I could see the ship." We had the inspiration to hand the colors to our guest, asking him if he would like to raise the colors that day. Hands shaking and tears streaming down his face, he raised the flag. This simple but moving moment made us understand what this ship means to those who served and what it must continue to mean to future generations because of the sacrifices made on their behalf. Now it is up to us to do our part to preserve the legacy created by the brave men and women who built and sailed these gallant vessels. With your help, USS Slater will continue to serve as an educational platform, so the lessons of the past will not be forgotten. Please support the effort to dry dock the USS Slater by sending your donations to the USS Slater, P.O. Box 1926, Albany, New York, 12201, 1926. Or consider a bequest to the Destroyer Escort Historical Museum so their efforts will not have been in vain. For additional information, please visit our website at www.ussslater.org.